Waking a teenager before 6 a.m. should be classified as child abuse, but that was my reality throughout high school. Mom had to leave early for work and didn't want me to oversleep and miss the bus, and Dad left even earlier, so I only saw him Sunday mornings. After my freshman year, when my brother went off to college, I had the house all to myself in the mornings until my bus arrived around 7:30, and I'd quickly get dressed and then usually watch music videos until it was time to leave. One morning as I was walking down the stairs, I almost had a heart attack. Even though the sun wasn't up yet, I could see the silhouettes of people in the corner of an adjacent room. I bolted back upstairs, locked myself in my room, and called Mom, convinced we were being robbed. She calmed me down, explaining that Dad had brought home some life-size promotional cutouts from work, and they wouldn't clutter our dining room for long. Dad's coworkers would be picking them up over the next few days. I thought they should have remembered to mention this detail, but although I was shaken up, I actually forgot myself and almost had the same reaction the next morning. When I came home from school that afternoon, most of the cutouts were gone, and later Mr. Bryan stopped by to collect another one. 2 days later, only one cutout remained. It was an extra and wouldn't be needed for Dad's company's trade show. Mom asked me to store it in the garage that night, but I forgot. The next morning, a classmate called shortly after I woke up, inviting me to a nearby diner for breakfast before our bus arrived. I hesitated, thinking I didn't have enough money, but my friend offered to pay. Tired of eating frozen waffles, I quickly got ready. As I rushed out the front door, I noticed the remaining cutout in my peripheral and realized I had forgotten to move it. I planned to handle it that afternoon before Mom got home, but food and catching my bus were currently more pressing concerns, and my friend and I made it to school on time with full stomachs. But when I returned home, the cutout was already gone. Dad was napping and I didn't want to disturb him, so when Mom walked in and asked if I had completed her request, I was unsure how to respond. She could see that the cutout was no longer in the dining room, so I guess she already had spoken to Dad about it. I confessed that I forgot, but Mom's reply surprised me. She said I owed her a favor for her doing my job. I stood and followed her into the kitchen. Jokingly, I asked how I owed her if Dad had moved the cutout for me. She asked me why I assumed that. I explained that it seemed obvious since she had just walked in the door. Then Mom said something that sent chills down my spine. I moved it this morning before I went to work. My mother made a confused face that mirrored my own. Are you being serious right now? I asked. She again insisted that she had moved the cutout, but her smile gave her away and I was sure I was being tricked. But when Dad woke up, he confirmed that the cutout had already been moved by the time he got home, and he seemed way more convincing. After repeatedly asking my parents to stop joking, I finally admitted that I had seen someone in the house when I left that morning. Mom dismissed it as my imagination playing tricks on me, but Dad thought I was trying to prank them instead. Neither of them believed me. However, after days of my story remaining consistent, Dad decided to conduct a thorough search of the house for anything missing, but everything seemed to be in place. I began to convince myself that it was just my mind playing tricks. There were no signs of forced entry and nothing was missing. Besides, many of our neighbors leave around the same time, and I was positive someone would have noticed something unusual. A few weeks ago, my brother heard the story for the first time and called me late one night to share his thoughts. "Petey," he said, "I used to see ghosts all the time in Mom and Dad's house. I promised them I wouldn't scare you with my stories, but since we're here now, welcome to the club." I couldn't tell if my brother was serious or not, and I think that was exactly what he intended. And ever since that conversation, I've been unable to bring myself to go to sleep without a light on.